Aloha, I'm Paul Norman, and I'm the Executive Director of Neighborhood Places Puna. And today, I'm going to talk a little bit about another one of my heroes. I think I shared this before that there's, these heroes, these great, compassionate leaders or people who've done extraordinary things in very difficult situations in the past. For me, is a source of inspiration that I can dip into when the work of helping, when the work of trying to create a more compassionate world, try to create a world in which every family, every child has enough to eat, a safe place to live, a loving home. When that work gets hard, you know, it's one of the places, these heroes, these stories of heroes are the places I can go to find inspiration and get recommitted to the work. And since it's the beginning of August, I want to talk a little bit about Raoul Wallenberg, who was born in Sweden in August of 1912. And he's most famous, most people will know him for the work that he did in Budapest, in Hungary, in 1944, as Hitler's Germany was starting to lose the war, and the work that he did to save Jews, and not just him. I mean, he's part of a community, a group of folks working to save the remaining Jewish community in Hungary. And I think it's really important right now especially right now, because it's important to remember how horrible the whole Holocaust was, how horrible Hitler's final solution was, because right now in the world, in the United States, we're seeing a rise of fascist ideology. We're seeing a rise, romanticism of Nazism, and we're seeing a rise of anti-Semitism and hate in general. And of course, the thing to remember about Hitler's final solution, about the Holocaust, is that yes, there was the state and the war machine and the military and the SS and all those folks who were systematically targeting the Jewish population, the Jewish community, but they were helped and aided by the general community, right? The lay community, the people who weren't in the military, either through active support or tacit support by turning a blind eye, by not rendering aid when they could, by protecting their self-interest over the welfare and survival of their Jewish neighbors. So, there's a lot to be learned there, a lot to recall. And, and the reason it's kind of, my understanding is that the reason it's really remembered as a Jewish Holocaust, because a lot of people were killed through the as part of Hitler's final solution. I mean, there were, I think, around 6 million Jews, about 2/3 of the European population were slaughtered, but also another 5 million of undesirables. So Roma people, homosexuals, different religious groups, dissenters, and so forth. But the reason we really focus on the harm to the Jewish community is because Hitler specifically, in his mind, in his plan, he wanted to eliminate all Jews, all of Judaism from the world. I mean, he wanted to completely wipe it out. So It was systematic in a way that we probably haven't seen before historically, even though there've been atrocious genocides in the past and in our lifetime. But this intent to destroy an entire group of people in a very methodical, systematic way, that is unique and that is new. And that's the thing that why we so much remember the focus of the Nazi regime on destroying and wiping out the Jewish population, not only in Germany but in Austria and Hungary and France and Denmark. I mean, all of Europe, wherever Nazi Germany had their reach, they began to round up, to isolate, round up, and kill the Jews, the Jewish communities in those countries. And quite a bit of them, it was going to the so-called concentration camps, to Auschwitz and others, and to the slaughter camps, right? That's why I put it around air quotes. Concentration camps makes it sound nice. The slaughter camps. And yeah, so we really need to just be aware of the context of what was going on. And so when Raoul Wallenberg shows up in Budapest in Hungary as a diplomat for Sweden, 1944, the tide has turned against Germany, but they are still, the Germans, Nazi Germany is still determined to continue with their plan. And at that time, it's estimated that there were about 200,000 Jews remaining in Hungary. And the thing that's inspiring to me about Raoul Wallenberg is his approach to saving Jews. So one of the things that he started doing very early on, and others were doing as well, was to begin to issue certificates of protection to Jewish residents in Hungary. And this took advantage of the Nazis government, Hitler's government's kind of obsession with paperwork and procedure and protocol. So, issuing very official certificates of protection, which basically says that the individual holding this piece of paper, this certificate, is a citizen of Sweden and is just awaiting repatriation, and so is protected, should not be harmed should be protected. He, and again, not just him. So him and a number I've seen is around 350-ish other individuals, some of whom lost their lives, worked together, and collectively they were able to save about 100,000 Jews, or about half the remaining population, which is stunning. After the Allies had defeated Hitler, defeated the German army, the Soviets got a hold of Raoul Wallenberg and disappeared him. And because of that, Raoul Wallenberg kind of became a Cold War hero for the United States, a propaganda piece, if you will. And so some of the claims what he did were were made bigger than they were. Nevertheless, Raoul Wallenberg was a real hero. And when anybody, for that matter, anybody who risked their life and welfare, their life and well-being to protect the life of another or others is a hero. And for sure, Raoul Wallenberg and the many, many people he worked with were doing exactly that every day. Um, and um, and in very creative ways. So, right, the certificates of protection. The other thing that he did, which was very inspiring, was he raised money and rented a lot of buildings in Budapest and basically claimed them as parts of the Swedish embassy, right? They named them like the Swedish library, the Swedish building for research, blah, 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 hung up Swedish flags, blah, blah, blah. And then claimed that anybody residing in there, staying in there, had diplomatic immunity. Super creative. And then others were doing this too. I don't know if that was Raoul Wallenberg who came up with that, or it was in the, kind of came up collectively in what was going on in Budapest. And what I really take away from this, what I get from Raoul Wallenberg is that, you can leverage or you can take advantage of your unique position to respond to evil in the world or to create a better world using the situation you find yourself in, right? So for myself, when I think about the resistance to Nazi Germany, I think of the French resistance, the French resistance, and and all this clandestine cloak and dagger activity and sabotage, and that was happening. But here, Raoul Wallenberg used the tools of a diplomat, the tools of state, to thwart the efforts of the puppet Hungarian government, the government installed by Germany, to thwart their efforts and to protect these Jews. And and Raoul Wallenberg wasn't afraid to bribe people, to get information, to protect the people he was trying to protect. So for you in your life, trying to do good, you need to look around and see where you find yourself. What resources do you bring? What are the advantages that your position in life carry with them, right? How can you help? Because that's the goal. We're all working together to make the world a more compassionate place, a place with more compassion and less hate, a world in which there is less suffering and more joy, a world in which people feel safe. And if you're not doing that, you need to look at your heart. And for sure, if you think Nazism was great, you are on the side of evil. Straight up. If you got a Nazi flag in your living room, you are on the side of evil. Just be honest with yourself. So, shall know if you've watched any of these before. Neighborhood Place of Puna is a nonprofit in Puna, Hawaii. We principally work with families with young children, and our goal here is Neighborhood Place of Puna's mission is to make sure that families have the resources that they need, so food, shelter, and skills to be able to raise their children in a safe, nurturing, and loving home. And it can be difficult because um, our country has a lot of bias against poor people. There is a history here in Hawaii of colonialism and racism and prejudice against Native Hawaiians. Um, and it can feel sometimes like we're trying to push a rock uphill, push a stone uphill. And so, when I read about the life of Raoul Wallenberg, of course, I'm super fortunate. My life is not at risk. And while it's frustrating to see families and children suffer unnecessarily, they are not under imminent threat of harm, imminent threat of death. But we need to be aware. We need to watch, because it's easy to devalue the marginalized. It's easy to otherize, to make someone or some group other than ourselves and therefore less than us. And it is easy then to think that it's okay to incarcerate them or kill them or deprive them of basic resources. But fortunately, we have exemplars like Raoul Wallenberg to look at and see that there are many, many good people who stand up in the face of great evil. So that's my little inspiring history lesson. I hope that you will look into Raoul Wallenberg, read a little bit about his story, about the work that was happening in Budapest and Hungary. And if you want to find out about more about the work that Neighborhood Place of Puna does, you of course visit neighborhoodplaceofpuna.org. Please, if you like this video, please like it. You can hit the bell and get notifications every time a new video comes out. And share. Please share this video if you liked it, or share about Neighborhood Place of Puna. All right, help us do the work of helping our families be successful in raising children in homes that are safe, nurturing, and loving. Aloha, and have a wonderful day.